There are only two genders. Buh. You saw Elon Musk dancing as the Baron. Like so awkward and weird. He's such a bizarre person. Baron Trump looks like what I imagine Damien grew up to look like from The Omen. So inauguration day, Trump's in office. And yeah. Frightening day if you're a person of any IQ. But but for his cultists, they love today. They love today. Today's a big day for retards. So one thing I want to talk about specifically, he said there's only two genders. Even I agree with that. But I want to talk about that specific thing just because Trump, I don't think he has any understanding of what the debate is whatsoever. He hasn't shown to him and Elon, to me, constantly prove how unintelligent they are as human beings. And I know they have their followers who think they're geniuses. I'm like, to me, they're both fucking imbeciles, mongoloids. And I'm fine with the government saying, only male and female exist because that's true. Gender and sex are interchangeable terms. And the gender theory philosophers whip out this whole gender and sex are two different things because they need it to be two different things so they could have an argument and a foundation for their ideological thing. My problem is that, legitimate gender dysphoric people, it is a real thing. It is a neurological thing that makes people's brains have an entirely different psyche of the opposite gender. People who actually transition themselves and are real trans people, really transitioned, that they're going to be affected dramatically. Like they're stuck. There was a point where they were rising to the top in progressiveness and people accept them to the point where this is the all-time low for accepting anyone who's trans. And probably ever, because I think that nobody cared and thought about them that much. I think we're at the peak all-time low of just straight up trans hatred. And the Trump and his goons just don't understand the real problem. I think trans people were fine. The thing that caused them to lose are the gender nonconformists, the trans identifiers. If those people never existed, trans people would be fine. But those people who are just, random white people who want to, feel the liberal validation of being oppressed, and they're like, oh, I'm a victim too. I'm not just a white person. I'm a non-binary. And they're like, yeah, and then they get patted on the back as being a part of a new collective of lower on the hierarchy people because they don't want to be white people on the top of the hierarchy. They're like, oh no, I'm one of you. I'm something else. I'm one of the few non-binaries. Yeah, I'm bullied by all the cis people. Gender theorists and these gender nonconformists ruin things for trans people. I think trans people had it decent, not good, but they were not this top, thing of conversation constantly. They were just this thing on the outskirts that no one paid attention to, so I'm like, they could just slide on by. But, which, is decent relative to now. But the gender nonconformists, the self-identifiers had to come in there and ruin everything. So it's sad that I'm like pro government saying two genders, right? Because trans person doesn't disprove the idea of two genders. It's one transition to the other. 1, 2. But the gender nonconformist has got these people so delusional that they just equate everything as some type of gay. So I know that I'm like, they're going to take the hit dramatically because they equate a non-binary they, them, which is just a fucking lesbian, some depressed person, with a real trans person. So it is kind of sad. But yeah, Trump's first minutes in office, horrifying. Just because I'm like, oh man, this guy, I feel like we just elected Hitler. He hasn't done anything Hitler, because I'm not comparing him to Hitler as if in action. I just think in desire. I think he wants to have a pure American, one single-minded, culture and religion and everything. And that's the one thing that conservatives to me are not Americans. They're anti-Americans. Liberals hate America. They're commies. But conservatives are not Americans. I mean, they're anti-Americans because the whole idea of America is supposed to be like Republic City and Legend of Korra. It's supposed to be a mix of every religion, every race, every type of perspective and philosophy. And they really want to have one cultural identity, one singular cultural identity. And I'm like, that's a big problem because that's antithetical to what the purpose of America is. The whole point of America is to not to have a singular identity. That's what every country on earth does. And America's not supposed to be that. So when you have everything in America being the same, that just makes us like everybody else, which is the whole reason why, it's called the American dream, because you got to be asleep to believe it. Because we're never going to get there because we're this brick wall of Republicans who are fucking dumb. So there's my little tangent. Comment down below what do you think about Trump, and you think he's going to be good or bad for America. I'm voting bad. I think worse than he was the first. I think the first time he was bad, but not horrible. I think he's going to be horrible.